All right, got another question for you Sunset high schoolers out there. This question is a very gentle question, but a very good one. How do you deal with toxic friends? Well, I'm talking to you, teenagers out there, but low key, I'm going to look at my producer and I'm talking to you too. So pay attention over there in the corner. Now back to the question. I'm not going to really answer that question in probably the way that most people think I'd answer that question. I actually think you know the best way to deal with toxic friends, but it's more complicated than that. When you have a toxic friend, there's a lot of things you want to do. There's a lot of things you want to say, but you're probably knowing if you deal with it that way, it's going to make it a very toxic relationship because now you're going to be the toxic friend. That's right. If you are toxic back to them, now there's two toxic friends. So you're fighting with this inside of your mind. Like, I want to treat them the way they treat me. I want to let them know how I feel. And if you've ever had a toxic friend and you've blasted them and let them know how you feel and how bad they treat you, trust me, they're going to flip it back around on you. They're going to make it so that now you're the one with the issue because you snapped on them. That's when it gets really out of control and you start looking at them going, wait, I thought I was supposed to be mad at you. You're not supposed to be mad at me. You're the toxic friend. Now you're making it look like it's all my fault. So yes, it can get out of control pretty quickly. So instead of doing all those things you want to do inside of your mind and start throwing all these things at them to let them know how many times they've been a horrible friend to you or how many times they've disrespected you, you're not going to do that. You're going to breathe for a moment and listen to this response. You already know what you need to do, but most of you out there don't want to do it because you got time spent with this friend. Most of you know that if you separate from this friend, it could be more problems than just sitting there and keeping your mouth shut and not saying anything at all. But that backfires because one day you're going to blow up, you're going to freak out on them, and they're going to say, wow, why are you freaking out because I got you the wrong order at, I don't know, freaking your favorite sandwich restaurant, and they think that you're a horrible friend because you're coming unglued because you've held it in for so long and you snap uncontrollably. So don't do that. Do this instead. Take into consideration whatever it is that's causing them to be toxic to you. You have to accept that they're not the friend that A, you thought they'd be, or B, the friend that they used to be. Every relationship in your life has an expiration date. I want you to imagine a gallon of milk. So let's say you buy a gallon of milk and it's got an expiration date for about 3 or 4 weeks. If you were to try to drink that milk 2 months later, that would be significantly longer after the expiration date. What do you think is going to happen? That's right, you're going to get sick. Just like a gallon of milk, friends have expiration dates too. So when you have a toxic friend, that means your old relationship has expired. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't drink milk anymore. It doesn't mean that you can't still be friends with them. It means you have to pour out the old relationship and go get a new one and re-up on the relationship and start again. So how this looks is, let's say you start with a friend and in the beginning of the relationship, everything's all good, everything's all fine, everything's all, oh, we're best buddies, this and that. But let's say they get a boyfriend or they have a change in their life and they start acting different to you. If they start acting different to you and the relationship becomes very toxic, that means the expiration date is passed from the beginning of the relationship you first started. So you'd have to come to them and have a very real conversation, which is like buying a new gallon of milk and starting a new relationship. You could say something as simple to them like this. Hey, let's get together and hang out today. Then once you're together, you could tell them, you know what? I know our lives have changed recently, but I just want to let you know you're still one of my closest friends. And lately I've been feeling that something's different between the two of us. I don't know if you've noticed something different between the two of us, but I feel like things are different between the two of us. I would really like to be your friend. I'd really like to hang out with you still, but I think we might need to kind of figure out a different way to be friends because I'm not the same person that I was when we first met, and you're definitely not the same person that you were when we first met. So I don't know if you get what I'm talking about, but there's been a couple of things that I think we could definitely change to make our relationship even better. Now, if your friend doesn't think that's all necessary and they're like, well, why are you acting weird? Like nothing's changed. I'm totally fine. Like I'm totally fine with making fun of you, laughing at you, mocking at you, only calling when I need something. If they see that there's not a problem and there's nothing that they've been holding against you this whole entire time and they're totally fine with this relationship, then you're going to have to take a deep breath and you're going to have to listen to them and don't come out of character. Don't come out of your role that you're playing right now. Just go, okay, well, maybe I'm overthinking it, but, I appreciate you hearing me out. When you walk away from that conversation, I do not want you to say, I'm going to lower my expectations for this person from here on out. I want you to use different words. Here's what you need to do. Simply tell yourself, I have to have realistic expectations of this friend moving forward. They were a great friend before. For whatever reason, they're not in the same place now, and we're probably not going to have the same friendship, at least not the same friendship we did before, because I can't keep on hanging out with someone that doesn't see that there's a problem when I feel that there's a problem. Sometimes it doesn't pay to get into all the details of what you're feeling versus what they're feeling. If you have a good friendship with someone and you just tell them, hey, I don't know, but I've just been having these thoughts and feelings that our relationship's changed a little bit, so I want to still be your friend. And I still want to talk to you, but maybe there's something you've been holding against me that I didn't know about, or something I did to hurt you that I didn't know about. So if you have something against me or something that you've been holding against me that's causing you to be angry and frustrated with me, I'd really like you to tell me, because that's what good friends do. They tell each other. Now, if they don't tell you anything, then you're going to have realistic expectations of the relationship. Or as I like to say, the expiration date is past in that relationship, and you're going to probably have to move on expecting a different relationship. But the good news is, a lot of times, kids say back to each other, or people say back to each other, well, yeah, I've been noticing that too. Like, I don't know what happened. Like, I've just been feeling this way. So at this point, you get a good gauge of where they're at, what they're thinking. You might be able to reconcile. You might be able to talk it out. Sometimes friends just need to have a good heart-to-heart talk with all the other people aside. Because you know how it is. You and your good friend may be good friends together, but you start having other people in the conversation and other people listening or hanging out with other people, one or both of you may act a little bit differently. So this conversation could be a really great opportunity for you to see if your expiration date can be renewed and re-upped like a new gallon of milk, or if you just need to have more realistic expectations of that relationship. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't be great friends in the future, but it does mean that that relationship has met what it served in your life and it's time to move on. So just to summarize all that, toxic friends, it's a general statement, but I want you to think about it this way. Every relationship has an expiration date. If you start feeling like this relationship with your friend has become toxic, that means something in the relationship is trying to tell you it's not the same as it used to be. It's expired. But just like a gallon of milk, you don't have to say, goodbye, milk. I miss you. I wish we could be friends and I could dip cookies inside of you. No, you can just go get another gallon of milk. In some cases, that could be get another friend, or in other cases, it could just be re-up and get a better version of that friendship altogether. Step number 2, you need to talk to them. Pull them aside away from the friend group. Let them know that, you've just been feeling differently about the relationship and you didn't want to hold in these feelings. And like any good friendship, you want to tell your friend how you're really feeling. Now, be really careful not to blame your friend for everything. Use words like I, my opinion, the way I see it, and just say, the way I see it, things are changed between us. If they say, well, what do you mean? You can simply tell them, like, I just feel like lately you've just been kind of talking down to me, or you're only getting in touch with me when it's, when it suits you, and it's been kind of bumming me out and hurting my feelings. I'm not saying you're doing it on purpose. I just want to let you know how I feel. And maybe you feel the same way about me, or maybe you have things about me that you've been feeling. And if so, I'd like you to tell me, because I think we'd be better off if we just talked about this for a moment. Now remember, if they don't agree with you and they dismiss it and they don't know what you're talking about and they think you're being absurd or being petty about it, but you're very confident in your feelings, well, at that point, you're going to have a more realistic expectation of this relationship. That means you're not going to be able to have the same relationship you had before, and you're going to have to look at that person as a person that suited you for a certain time of your life, but now it's changed. Obviously, if you can do something to help this relationship, the best thing you can do is be open with them and talk to them. So that's why I believe that this suggestion can do everything possible to keep this relationship going, meaning to help you re-up this relationship and get a new gallon of this relationship. But you're going to have to be honest with yourself. And I can't tell you this part, only you will know if the expiration date on this relationship is done and you need to move on, or if it's got a chance for you to re-up on it again. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my video. And if you liked it and it gave you some interesting ideas about how to deal with the drama in your life, like, subscribe, share, you know what to do. And if you want to raise your hand to ask the teacher a question, simply put your question in the comment box. Thanks for watching, Mr. Cos.